responsible. Atiku Kwakwanso, they are not responsible for the insecurity up north. So you can tell where they are coming from. I have explained that many times. These bigoted Yorubas who have nothing else to actually drag other Yorubas into this their fraudulent Nigeria, one Nigerian project of Tinubu, which started in 2015. Right? That's the guy. I'm going to come to him now. Okay. Let me see if I can just put him on hold. Okay. His question, his concern is asking Peter Obi about the insecurity in Eastern Nigeria when APC, Egbekegbe, the one in charge of Nigeria today, who has escalated the insecurity in Eastern Nigeria, in Western Nigeria, as well as all over Nigeria. But they are not responsible for that. They bigoted the criminals abroad, the Wirizarana abroad, but they left Nigeria. Nigeria didn't leave them. That's the genesis of the conversation, this the question and answer time. And maybe you should listen. Listen.
My name is Ajiboye Tumishi from Huddersfield University. So my question is simple. The activities of the IPOP
Oh, sorry about that. And just once again, whenever you see anybody, whether the person is Hausa Fulani or a Yoruba man or woman, once they start their conversation with IPOB, just know that those are the bigoted criminals who are always going to trade on tribal and then any other card that have nothing to do with the suffering that you're actually facing today. While the criminals, their own criminal leaders in charge of Nigeria, responsible for keeping you safe, but they have abandoned you, right? While they are there, shielded, this weary that ran away from Nigeria could go abroad and start asking a candidate running to be a president or a presidential candidate in an election in Nigeria. He can open his mouth and start asking him about IPOB. He's not interested in that. They are just looking for a way to say, gotcha. You know, that gotcha moment. Oh, what can we say just to make him, he will never, and he continue. This guy continue to say he has nothing to do with Biafra. In fact, Biafra is dead. But you see these Agbadorians abroad, where is they ran away from Nigeria using education. I'm running a PhD. I'm running a master's degree. There's no master where they are running here. These Olori Brukus are running away from Nigeria. From the change and next devil, they left you in Nigeria. Looking for visa, student visa to the UK. They are not coming here for any education nonsense, because they are not, they are escaping from Nigeria. But from away, those of you all there that are left in Nigeria, these are the ways on social media telling you that don't worry, you are born to suffer. And listen to this. IPOB is their problem, not the government that failed to provide you safety and security in this instance. Don't worry, because I know them. Listen again.
In Nigeria is on alarming rate every day. And with all the policy, beautiful ideas that you've listed down, sir, without tackling security head on, they are impossible. So one of the allegations given to you is that you've not condemned the activities of the IPOB. So, and tackling of security.
Can you sum up, please?
Let me land. Tackling of security.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, let's.
Sorry, I'm a student. We have to line. Tackling of security. How will you tackle it, sir? Are you introducing? Yes.
Please.
Are you introducing state police, or are you strengthening the federal government security apparatus? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have another question that has come in, which I want to ask from our virtual audience, and it's from Vivian Ahekwezu, who's asking the following. Vivian is asking, for many years, Nigeria has underinvested in healthcare. What are your plans for achieving universal health coverage, where access to healthcare is a right rather than a privilege, as well as ensuring sustained funding for epidemic preparedness and response. We did have a similar question for Mr. Tinubu in the last session that we did. So there are 3 questions there for you, Peter, and then I'll come through the audience here. Please just be patient.
First question is, how do you deal with the legislators, considering that Labour Party is probably not in control of the legislative arm of the government? Quite frankly, I've been through this as a governor. When I was elected and sworn in as the governor, I have 30 House members, not from my party. In fact, nobody from my party was involved. As long as you are pursuing what is right, everybody will go with you, because the legislator is insecure in his place. He knows that his people are without job, and that's what he wants. He wants development. What else is he elected to do? It becomes a problem when you are pursuing transactional policies, which will benefit you, or you're engaging in nepotism where you have to. But if you address it by strictly following the Constitution, which spells out that the system is characterized by simply that we have diversity and all is included, and you did the right things, you don't need to worry about that. On the issue of IPOB, maybe you're not following me. Even yesterday, I spoke about Biafra being ended 53 years ago. It's all over the place in this space. I condemn all agitators, but in condemning them, you have to look at what brought about these agitations all over the place. It's not only IPOB. We have Yoruba Nation movement. We have all sorts. When you have created this level of massive poverty, where 63% of your population is poor, you're going to create all sorts of problems. I was speaking to a British minister this morning. I said we have about 40% unemployment. And we have about 60% youth unemployment, young people in their productive age doing nothing. If you have 15% unemployment in Britain today, you're going to have massive, remember, agitation. Nobody will be able to leave his house. So what you're seeing is a cumulative effect of leadership failure over the years, which will be solved by good governance. When people start seeing justice, fairness, and inclusive government and doing the right thing, all those things will start reversing itself. And that is what me and that is offering. I will talk and discuss with all agitators. There's nothing wrong in that. People agitate even in my house, and I talk with them. So I'll deal with everybody. I'll show you of that. Don't worry about that. On the issue of health, yes, we have a problem with health.
Sorry, I'm gonna let you listen to his answer on health. Listen, isn't that what people have been like asking for? Right? People didn't just wake up just from nowhere and they started agitating again that they want to leave Nigeria. Don't pretend like people just woke up one day and they just started feeling like, hey, we are going to break up. Then you are just an hypocrite if you believe that. People are being chased away from their ancestral lands. And people are being slaughtered in their sleep. Women, children are being killed by invading, ravaging Fulani terrorists. While the system generally that keeps everybody marginalized enough. Poor young people out there. Why do you think the Boko Haram are getting more people recruited into their murderous army? Why? Is it not because Nigeria continues to shun out the population of millions of young people that they have no plan for? No plan for you. Where do you think they are recruiting from? And if some people who now feels like the future of their own children and children matter, and with the way Nigeria is going, if nothing is done, in our own lifetime, we will lose everything completely. And they started saying, no, we're not going to sit back and just die. So don't pretend like people just woke up from nowhere and hey, we are going Yoruba nation, yeah, Biafra. Alabosi niyi, alabosi ló pọ̀ jù nínú yín. Most of you are hypocrites. Continue to pretend. What people who say they want to live for is because if Nigeria continue the way it is, right, we will continue to kill ourselves. Our children are going to born into this acrimony. They're going to be born into this mess. And a lot of people who can imagine what this means. Total collapse of a system that doesn't give a damn about you. All have almost collapsed, haven't they? So don't pretend like people just woke up from nowhere and say, yeah, we are going to. So his answer makes sense to me. The first thing that happened is that people need to know, even the establishment in Nigeria need to understand that people are going to agitate when they feel excluded. And in this case, the entire people in Nigeria have been excluded from the governance of their country. You are just validators. You don't know. The elites are united. And the misrule and the robbery and the corruption you are witnessing in Nigeria, they are doing. You are just the victim who are just at the rung of the ladder. So what do you think will happen? People will turn to crime. The sensible ones feel like the future is not of crime. The future is the independence of this region. The solution is to retract and reverse the misdirection that they took Nigeria from 1966 by being honest. Asking that you want your own country is democratic. It's none of violence. Nigeria unleashed violence on people who are done with this rigged system. They call them terrorists. And they have been doing everything, including some of you miseducated Agbadorians and Mechanites. Miseducated Nigerianists. Asking for your own country is not a sin. In fact, on its own, it is a huge political movement on its own. But Nigeria decided to criminalize it. And this guy is saying that I will listen to everybody. Number one, there's no point in killing them. That could be the beginning. I'm not asking you to support him or not support him. I've told you I'm not getting any electoral value. If you are angry with me or you're mad with me as you are watching me right now, Baba, go and see your doctor before you enter market. I know they vote, and I'm not asking anybody to vote. But I am saying that the reason why everything is so hostile, so hard, so harsh, and the hatred, the division, all of these things you are witnessing today, all of you are carrying them out. You are just doing the biddings of the rogues above there who enjoys and derives their power from this your acrimony and nonsense. So mine is just to let you see through it. So if somebody says that it is not a crime to ask for your own country, and in his own mind, he could use the balance of government, inclusiveness, and all of that to douse the tension. He is a politician. They talk a lot, Abi. But that is a right thing to say in a country as divided as Nigeria without having to be shady about it. Tinubu was telling us that all of you running abroad, so far, you better don't go to Canada. And you want that to be a motivation? Show Yawirini. The people that say will continue the legacy of Bokwari, kidnapping and killing innocent people, jailing innocent people. Just because you have been so comfortable in your slavery. I like it too. If they are peppering you and making you or giving you sleepless nights, one of the things I actually wish that will shock you, that will lead to the whole wahala is this. If somehow, Peter Obi and his people and his obedient, they can't shock you. Agbado no become the president of Nigeria. Shebi you, some of you don't that head, suffer head wearies, who are denying Yoruba land, Yoruba nation because of Fekolu and the Agbado they are offering you. She, you know, go come back and value Yoruba then, We know your type. Kolu became prominent by joining Afenifere, lying to the Yoruba people that his purpose of being a politician was because of the Yoruba land. And today, he is not even so proud to stand anywhere and say, I am going to stand for Yoruba people. I am going to defend the Yoruba nation. No, he can't. And you on-boot slaves, crumb eaters, ass lickers, crumb chasers, all risers, your days are numbered. If the oath in Pafuka on the 25th, and Kolu is nowhere, Shey Yoruba nation will now make sense to you. Abi, you will still be laughing. No, you may not be laughing, Abi. Your days are numbered. Now, listen to another part of the conversation. The guy was answering question on health. I just thought I should mention that when people feel like they are looking for the gotcha moment.
And because our government have not prioritized our development agenda, everybody knows that the only measure of development that is recognized globally today is Human Development Index. And this is hanged on 3 items: life expectancy, which is health. And we are low in that. Nigerian life expectancy today is about 50 something, as against the global average of 72. So we're low. Same in education. So it's to prioritize that. I just gave somebody an example. In the past 5 years, from 2015 to 2021, Nigerian budget in health is under 2.5 trillion naira for 200 million people. It's unacceptable. Even this year, our budget for health is about 1.5 trillion. Our budget for education is about 2 trillion. 2 of them combined, annual budget is about 3.5 trillion. When your 6-month budget for subsidy, which is a criminalized, listen, if 3.6 trillion, it's unacceptable. You have to put money in key development areas, as Professor Johnson has just mentioned, and I read out here, that what separates country, rich and poor, is health and education. So it's clear. So we will deal with it. But he said, how do you cover it? Nations of our size have covered it. How did India, for 1.4 billion people, cover issue of health? How did Indonesia cover that? We have big nations that have done it well. If we don't know how to do it, we learn from them. There's nothing wrong in learning if you don't know how to do it.
I'm going to take more questions. Now, there is someone who has such a strong arm. Their arm has been up for 15 minutes. Now, I'm not going to say that's criteria for taking question next time, but madam, you get the question. You have the strongest arm in the audience. Please introduce yourself. One question.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon and welcome, sir. My name is Priscilla Winkwo, and I'm an independent broadcaster here in London. And sir, you spoke about your point number 5, which is to...
This is the part they are going to ask him about electricity. Priscilla is going to ask him about electricity. But this time around, she was a bit broad with a question, right? Asking Obi about the economy around the darkness in Nigeria, okay? Where people have already made fortune by supplying a generator to Nigeria, and they've made fortune, and they are still making fortune because Nigeria is in darkness, okay? So if you say you're going to give Nigerians a light, in this instance, right, we have been told that generator sellers in Nigeria are contributing to lack of power in Nigeria. His answer will likely kind of make you feel like he knows what he's talking about. And there's nothing about him, right? When he says something, at the same time, when he says something about what he knows, he kind of always says something about what he doesn't know by saying there's nothing wrong in learning, okay, from others who have done it. Now, Priscilla.
Power, because I'm sure that they too will rise up against it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We did.
Against it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Economy that will then no. So my question here is this. How do you plan, number 1, and I'm going to take a risk here, to deal with the big boys, and how do you also plan to address that economy that will then no longer exist because you have generated power? Because I'm sure that they too will rise up against it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We did online have lots of questions about refining also. And so this is a key issue that people are asking question about. So the gentleman there, a bit further along. Yes, there, you, just there, yeah. Please go ahead, introduce yourself.
Thank you very much.
Question.
Good to see you, Peter. Paul Arkwright. I was the British High Commissioner to Nigeria from 2015 to 2018, and it's good to see you in London, sir. Thank you very much for your talk. I've now moved into private business. I'm a consultant, and I'm advising companies and funds, investors, to look at Africa, to look at Nigeria, to consider investing there, and everyone agrees, I think, that FDI, foreign direct investment, is
just because of our time, I am going to skip this question. These questions, including this guy. Okay, maybe we should listen to this guy's question. Then I'm going to skip straight to the answer to save our time. Okay.
Which is extremely high. How do you plan to support the next generation?
The government is paying?
Repaying the central bank debt by 19.5% interest rate. How do you plan to support the next generation by dealing with the debt repayment crisis? And also, how do you plan to deal with tackling financial transparency in Nigeria? The central bank hasn't released its balance sheet in about 3 years.
Thank you. There you go, Peter. 3 questions.
Let me start with my sister there. He talked about the big. What you're saying is about the big boys who are selling generators. Let me assure you what we've been campaigning on. Our campaign, you have heard them say we don't have structures. That is the structure we're trying to destroy. Structure of criminality. That is what I mentioned. That Nigeria is being held captive. That structure is structure that have impoverished Nigeria. We will dismantle it. It will not be there. I assure you of that. We're going to turn around the power sector. Nigeria generates about, today, 56,000 megawatts of electricity for 200 million people. And South Africa, the second biggest in terms of economy in the continent, 5 to 6,000, that's 5 to 6,000, sorry. And South Africa, the second biggest economy, 60 million people, generates about 40 to 50,000. And South Africa, in the past 3 months, have declared emergency in power and said anybody can generate up to 100 megawatts without license. So somebody who is 60 million, generating about over 40,000, declared emergency. What do you think somebody with 2 million people generating 5 to 6,000 will do? War. I'm going to declare war on power, and I'll solve it. Anybody who stands on the way, so be it. Bringing back foreign investor is very simple, Paul.
I'm sorry if I actually laughed when you are listening, right? You know, somebody said that Buhari said more than this. But at the end of the day, we know better today. Listen. If you are taking almost everything Obi is saying to heart, you must be an obedient. Obedient take everything he says to heart. They scrutinize them, not like everything like that, but per se, right? But the thing here is this: whenever Obi is talking, right? What the obedience see in him is what they call the sincerity. Sure, you get? And it seems to be like something that people wanted to wait and find out. Sure, you get? So, in this instance, comparing Obi and Bokwari to the obedient is actually like insulting them. So my advice for you is this, okay? Listen to what you have to say, okay? Think about some of them that you think are really, really practicable, something that is real or possible. And then don't forget all he said when you listened. Because events that will happen from tomorrow and on, and this event like today, you would have to like resort back to it and say, oh, I remember when he said something about this. You know what I mean? Because the point here is this. If you think Obi is just playing, Baba, now you they play, oh, just they play, oh. I am not saying that I feel completely convinced that the obedient are going to rout the establishment. No. What I'm saying is that it will be very, very, very hypocritical rather, yeah, if anybody, even if you don't believe them, even if you don't believe anything that is going on, right, it will be very hypocritical of you to pretend that they are not existing. They are not formidable. That would be a lie. The establishment knows this. Whatever is going to then happen after is what you and I should always remember days like this and say, I remember. In fact, one thing that got me to start, you know what I mean? Somebody like myself who believe that live and let live. Government should not control my life. And I should have a say in the law that governs me. And in all of this, I can only actually test run all these ideas in a place that I am not treated like a criminal. In Nigeria, as they say, there is no one Nigeria. There are many Nigerias. That's the truth. So, in this instance, don't take everything to heart, except you are already turning to obedient. And I don't think there's anything wrong in that. Do you get that? No, I told you I can't answer that question. Mr. Taiwo is asking me why all this talk outside Nigeria. Baba, I can't answer for that. I have told all of you not to look into that. I said, listen to what they say, how they say them, and then have an idea of the characters that are likely going to decide or be part of those that will decide or determine what is going to happen in Nigeria in the next few weeks. Don't take side if you really want to enjoy it. Okay? Now, here is Obi in his own Obi's form today. Still answering questions, by the way.
That is at the heart of what Daddy and I are offering. We will build that intangible assets of securing the country, making sure that we govern through rule of law. We will fight corruption. Daddy have a record that is the only National Assembly member who refused to buy property of government when it was offered to all National Assembly members. You can go and look at his record. If you have seen anywhere he has compromised or put himself in a transactional position. And I'll stop running. I know how I approached him. And I told him, I am the you who owe to save our people. That's why we came together. And we came back and said, we'll work as a team. We'll solve this problem. Go and check my record. I've governed the state for 8 years, and I've challenged everybody. Paul, you were there. I've been the only governor till today. The day I left office, I was not owing salary, pension, gratuity, or any contract to any supplier. And I left in 3 banks in Nigeria, which I say every day. Access Bank of Nigeria, Fidelity Bank of Nigeria, and Diamond Bank. I left over $150 million. I didn't say naira. And I have over 30 billion naira. And Anambra State, you can go and verify anywhere. I've never had a bottle. Anambra State have never bought me. There's no land allocated directly or indirectly by me, and I signed over several thousands of CFO. Anambra has never bought me a bottle of water since I left office. So you can go. We will fight and stop corruption. The first thing about stopping corruption is yourself. If you're not involved, your wife is not involved, your family is not involved, those around you are not involved, you reduce it by over 50%. And that's what I'm going to do. And I'm sure, Paul, you know that. We are committed. We can't disappoint these youths. We must build a new Nigeria. And we'll deal with that. Investors will come back. Those who left, even the young people who are today living, they'll come back. We want to bring them back. Nigerians are prepared to come back if they can find that they have a country to go back to. This green passport, people must be proud to use it. On issue of capital, where do you find money? My young brother, there's nothing wrong in borrowing. Borrowing is a legitimate way of every government I've studied in the world borrow. Even Britain, as we speak, owns over 70% of their GDP. Every government I know lives on borrowing. Even Norway, with 1.4 trillion sovereign wealth, is owing. The economies of the world, the third biggest nation in the world is America. The debt of America today is almost 100% of their GDP. The second, China, is almost over 60% of their GDP. Japan owes over 230% of their GDP. But let me tell you the difference. Japan is owing over 230% of their GDP. They invested the money to save their economy. And in that, even with that, Japan is still the highest holder of US treasuries. So there's something they can fall back on. What has happened? So borrowing is not wrong. If I have time, I compare two countries that borrowed with Nigeria and how well they've done. But what has happened is that when you borrow for consumption, you have a crisis. Nigeria borrowed for consumption. Nigeria in 2015 had a GDP per capita of $2,550. And they were owing about 15 trillion naira. Today, with central bank ways and means, we're owing over 75. So we have grown that debt by about 400%. But our per capita is 2,000. That means that the money we borrowed was thrown away. So that is what I'm going to reverse.
Yes. There is a different thing about him being able to do what he's talking about. But you know one thing? Let's take a little break from Obi. And then take a little detour back to when Kalu was in London. This time around, just listen to just watch the containers and the... Look at this guy, right? Did you see that he's more confident when he's talking and he's like not reading? This is him talking from what he believed he wrote down as his own plan B. For those of you following them all. But let's go and see Kalu. When Kalu was in that same position to answer question about his plan and all of that, right? Let me go a bit forward, right? Where they ask him question, okay? Hang on. Give me one moment, okay? I am going to, I think we should start from, okay, somebody is answering question for him here. So let's go to when El Rufaya finished, right? Hang on. That should be somewhere here. Now, listen, even though it's a little bit, okay, let me put it forward a bit. Right, listen to this. This is Kalu in the same position, the same place where on your mandate, on your pampas and the rest of them were the audience, right? Now, this is a detour, okay, to what you just finished watching just now. One moment. Just say listen for about 2 minutes. Just comparison.
Question on education and youth, of which I have, we've got about 30 questions on this that have come in, including from Mariam Haruna. So, Mr. Tinubu, maybe you'd like to answer that question.
I would love to do so. Youths are part of today, but they are the greatest asset for tomorrow. We need to prepare them from now, from our all-inclusive government. The youth has been part of that. I want the governor of Lagos State to stand up. Yes, it's a youth. It's driving the 5th largest economy in Africa today, and the transformative government of our legacy, my own personal legacy. Yes, the education system is to change. We overhaul it.
This is the time you have to listen to accent. Oh. This is where Kolu started using accent. Overhaul. You know, this and all of that, yeah? Just empty. As empty. But I don't see Tinubu as a president. If you make him your president next month, that's your business. So me, I'm still very okay where I am. Oh. Seriously, I'm fine. Okay. I'm just going to have to like brace up for whatever is going to happen to my family members and the rest of them in that Tinubu's Nigeria. But I kind of like the fact that when I look at him, he kind of paint this picture of my great grandpa or grandpa. Somebody that was like, you know, somebody that will be talking about during his own prime. You know, when you're like, daddy, you know what? You know, I said, come on, shut up. When we were younger like you, I used to be in the UK, you know, that kind of stuff. And you just sit down there and laugh. I say, oh boy, grandpa is so funny. That's exactly what Kolu looks to me all the time. I'm not mocking him. It's just like, you know, if you have had any grandpa before, old, senile, losing their memories and mind. But they are so interesting to sit around and then listen to stories. And you're going to listen to them as they are like mixing the whole thing up. Because their mind will keep playing trick on them. But Kolu's using accents. But that one was new. Oh. I'm just saying, you know, I'm not mocking him. But Shane a lie. Listen to accent. You go fear accent.
Tinker with some areas that with the philosophy that no one will be left behind. There be student loan for all the students. We are going to reform the Almajiri system. We are equally going to build additional schools and recruit more teachers and train them well. And they teach them the opportunity to govern. Give them that opportunity. Broadband, technology hubs, and so on and so forth will be established that youth can even develop technology languages on their own and make a better 21st century approach to governance in Nigeria.
Okay, we're having another round of questions. So I start with the lady there. You, yes. Please tell us who you are and keep your... No, it's the lady behind you. I'm so sorry.
Wala. Just like Portable will say. Okay, you see that person that was going to ask that question, by the way, yeah? She's asking question on behalf of the diasporans, voting and the rest of that. And Kolu answered that by himself. But I'll come back to that. We're actually showcasing and then highlighting Peter Obi's outing today where we can always have his words on record. You just don't know what will happen. Somebody said that, so what you are saying is that if the whole Nigeria, Baba, see, look at me very well, Mayegun, and this platform, okay? I am not in any way concerned about what happened in your election, because I personally, right, knows that it is a rigged system, okay? The only surprise or shocker that could happen is when indeed the obedient and pushed and they say Obi is leading in your election. That would be a shocker for somebody like me. We believe that the establishment won't go down without a fight, but we just don't know if they have the capacity to fight. We don't know anything. But on this platform, I just want to table everything so plain. In all their utterances and what they are promising and saying, not because I believe them, but it is ideal to have them on record. So that whatever happens, I can go back and say, remember that time I said, you remember what they said, or you forgot? Then the implosion of Nigeria that they have been working around all their lives, right? By making it perfect is by disappointing on anything they say. Bokwari is making Nigeria divided today because he failed on his promises, right? He couldn't unite Nigeria. You know that, Abi? And that means Nigeria is more divided than what you have ever witnessed in your life. Courtesy of APC, Egbekegbe, on Mayegun's Diary Political. What I do is to make people understand why Nigeria is not working, and it will never work. The actions of your leaders and your politicians are those that give credence to what I say all the time. Just remember that I have no dog in this fight. I am so happy that I am not sitting down here and somehow using PDP as the karma for APC. It would have been so disastrous. Now we can say they have Labour, they have Obi, they have this movement and that are ready to kill and end APC, PDP. Baba, I have to let people see and know how all of that happened, if it eventually happens. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. So yeah, let's leave Kolu for a while. And let's go back to Obi answering questions. You know, I told you, this is like they will ask him, he will answer. He doesn't have to read, and he doesn't have to delegate. If you are building expectation on what you are going to hear or what you are hearing from Obi, that's not my fault. Okay? I have warned you. I don't listen to them with the expectation that they will do what they will do. But my own expectation is to see if there will be a breaking news that indeed in my life, whatever happened, however it happened, I don't give a damn. PDP, APC, and their establishment collapse in my lifetime. It simply means, like they do in debt, for those who knows how they manage debt here in the UK, okay? There's something called debt consolidation, right? PDP, APC have confused this for so long that you didn't even know who is who, Abi. Whatever then happened, right? If you have to witness a time that a Labour Party or Obi and Obedient are now going to bury the two of them, maybe they are now going to suck people from them into their government or whatever happens, right? It is called buying the debt, consolidation of debt. Now you can easily just focus in one place and say, well, yeah, the battle is just here now, not around here and scattered here, where divide and rule is the order of the day. You know the divide and rule, right? I'm sorry if comprehension is going to be a problem. But yeah, let's go back to where Obi is being grilled to answer questions directly, not read, not delegated, all by himself. Again, please study his countenance. Please do. I'm not asking you to believe what he has to say, except if you are unobedient. If you are unobedient, or you suddenly become unobedient, that's not my fault. You know what I figured out? I came here and said, I don't have any voter's card to participate in your election. And personally, I believe that election boycott is also part of an electoral process. Okay? So if you decide to stay away from their election, you don't want to participate, you don't want to validate it, it is your right. There's nothing wrong in that. Do you understand? Right? Then, if your own choice is to stay away, in this case, yeah, like I said, it's your right. Stay away. It is also part of electoral process. But at the same time, when you stay away, you are not spared from the consequences of whatever happens. Nobody is spared. I didn't support Bokwari. I didn't vote for him. I didn't, you know what I mean? A lot of you didn't. But you are the victims of the consequences of those who made him one, Abi. But if you are going to die, isn't it better to have an idea of what is coming to kill you? Who sold you that Kool-Aid? Who sold you that poison? And who made you understand what this each container contained? Abi, I'm not asking you to believe them all, but just listen attentively and then maybe make something out of it. Let's go back to London.
Say, like I
Yeah,
said
Obi
here,
was.
no more borrowing for consumption.
Yeah.
You see borrow, people will see it, it will be transparent, it will be for investment. And that's what we intend to do. Countries have been in this situation before. We're not in a situation where other countries haven't passed before. It's a question of showing leadership, and we will be able to solve it. Thank you.
I'm coming back. We are now almost around 60,000 people just watching us and sending in questions. So we're trying to be inclusive. We have a question from Debo Ademoyo, who is asking, what are your policy ideas on climate change? Do you have a plan for ensuring sustainability in a new government? So that's one question.
Presidency from when elected president. There is no doubt in my mind that Your Excellency is well aware.
Okay, please. We need, the longer this takes, the less questions. Madam, please, yes. Now.
So the question there is, how do you intend to implement a pragmatic mechanism for dealing with those societal concerns for equal access to the services, inclusive participation, and integrating the various ethnic groups?
Thank you very much. Thank you. Peter, if you answer those questions, because that was more than one question.
Well, let me start with the issue of, you have, like you said, you have more than one question. I have about two questions. Let me start with the issue of ethnic tension. The ethnic tension you see today is based and as a result of injustice, unfairness, exclusion, marginalization. As soon as you start reversing that, they start going down. That is what I said to young man about agitation. As long as you start doing the right things, as long as you start building an inclusive society where people's talent, hard work will match up their opportunity, you start seeing those things go down. There's tension, even in the Western world here. I live here when the blacks feel excluded. But as the more the government opens up and tolerates and builds an inclusive, transparent, more broad-based, acceptable, they will come down. And we will show, I've said before, we will show compassion. We will show love. Because there's nothing, you're a leader. Don't go away when Bayelsa is under the water. Don't leave Jigawa to die. Don't say, oh, I cannot go to Southern Kaduna because there's a problem. We will show compassion. We will lead from the front. We're not going to walk away. And for me, Borno is part of Nigeria. I don't want to say people, oh, the region is insecure. Nigeria is insecure. Like I told the IDP people in Christmas, I spent my IDP with IDP people in Makurdi in Christmas. And in New Year was another IDP camp in Abuja. And I said to them, as long as Nigerians are in IDP, all of us are in IDP. I will not allow, and I know that you will not allow it, for any Nigerian to remain in IDP while we're sleeping in our mansions. Never. They must go back. On issue of challenges and dealing with them, the challenges you foresee, I've dealt with such challenges at the Anambra level. And I'll show you the same challenges. We're not going to, as long as you're not involved in this transnational governance, you can deal with anybody. And we're not going to compromise. We have an issue, I said, we're at an existential threat that we don't need to. There's no sacred cow. You either be a Nigerian or you can find another country. We have a country with the rule of law. It will be the same level playing field for everybody. I want to solve the problem. For example, I said it without equivocation. I must pull out the poverty that is devastating the north. The vast land in the north is far more in terms of assets and source of revenue generation and exports for Nigeria than the oil. It's very simple. And I give you an example of one state that I use every day. Niger State is 76,000 square kilometers. Precisely 76.3 thousand square kilometers of land. 7 local governments in that state is under control of bandits. I've tried to interview them because they have no job. They have nothing and everything. Niger State is 2.5 times the size of Netherlands. And Netherlands agricultural export last year was $120 billion. Why can't Niger State do 5% of that? They have arable land. And all they get from the revenue, from the sharing, which is the consumption, is less than 50 billion naira when they have minus their debts and everything. If they earn 6% of 5% of that is $6 billion. At 650 is about 4 trillion, 80 times what they get from here. We will change it. Somebody talked about tackling insecurity. I've said it extensively. It is our first commitment to secure Nigeria. Securing Nigeria is not impossible. I secured Anambra State as governor. And it won't be different. I've said we will deal and talk with those we will win, we'll talk with those who are winnable. It will be carrot and stick. And those who don't, we will deal with them. We're not going to shy away. Nigeria must be secured. It's a country. Every country must be secured. But we're not going to walk away from the problem. We'll deal with it. We have our armies and military used to secure Africa. So this is time to go back and resonate that spirit in which they used to secure Africa to secure Nigeria. And we will deal with it. On climate change, I've always said we'll follow the protocol. And I did mention here about
So sorry. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I got the sound back, by the way. Very sorry about that. Again, sometimes the sound gets put away just to make sure that there is no interference in the broadcast. Whatever he was saying, I'm so sorry. Again, I apologize. I should have taken that or checked that out before I get fully into what I was saying. But I will repeat myself, okay? I apologize once again for that. So, what I was saying then was that, listen, a lot of us have mentally, psychologically disengaged from Nigeria. We have disengaged from the lies. We have disengaged from the deceit. And some of us who have disengaged have expressed our displeasure with what Nigeria represents. And we are not just complaining, we have chosen side. And it all comes from the long time experience of politicians saying one thing and doing another thing. Okay? None of us really want to try and believe them anymore. But nevertheless, as we are trying to gather together to free ourselves from their shackle of lies. So far, so good, or so bad or good, we are still very much bearing the consequences of what they are still doing until we gain the momentum, indeed, to free ourselves from them. Obi acknowledged this in one of his in this particular presentation. He said a lot of Nigerians have disengaged from Nigeria. They don't want to have anything to do with Nigeria anymore. And that is why the campaign, the agitation, and then the awareness for self-determination continue to gain so much momentum, especially from abroad. And rightly so. What is it in Nigeria to actually believe in? So according to him, once the right thing is being done, once injustice is being done, inclusiveness is being done, and obviously making sure that no Nigerian is more Nigerian than the other, he said he believes that a lot of us will begin to start reconsidering our position. But you know something, right? Look at my face very well, okay? I personally believe that through a peaceful means, right? Hang on. Did somebody say no sound? No, I have fixed the sound. I think I have fixed the sound. The sound is working right now. And if yours is not, please, if you're watching on YouTube, just check it and move it forward so that it will be up to date with where I am, okay? Yeah, thank you. And I'm so sorry for that interruption, by the way. So Mayegun General, I have come to light that no matter what or any arrangement put together in Nigeria, right, it is just like a kicking the can down the road, okay? Momentary peace or momentary sort of relaxation or what have you, all of this are never going to solve Nigeria problem. The fundamental problem of Nigeria is the incompatibility of those they have locked together in a country. So how do you solve that once and for all? Is by letting those who identified as one people to go together and administer themselves, govern themselves. So I understand that so many of you obedient. There's so much going around. For so many of you who have given up on Nigeria to begin to hope again. I understand. What I am doing mostly is to make sure that for those of you who want to take those last shots, isn't it ideal to have a very clearer idea of what you are venturing into? I just don't have any moment or any part of my life anymore to gamble on anything Nigeria. I know I'm not spared. Whether I support anything or I don't support anything in Nigeria, as long as Nigeria exists, I am not spared from the consequences of what happened there. But do you know something, right? I am also, right, banking on the experiences of many of you from whatever thing you are engaging yourself in. I am not interested. But I am banking on the experiences that many of you are going to gain. You have every right to hope to fix this. And I also believe that if the current establishment put together since 1966 collapse, that could even be a beginning of healing for what we have turned to a murderous jungle called Nigeria today because of these politicians. I believe under the atmosphere of peace, the conversation around referendum and then autonomy, independence, they can be had in under the atmosphere of peace. I believe that. But from my own experience, I don't believe anybody that is working to save Nigeria, to fix Nigeria problem. I don't believe in them. But if in my lifetime, I'm going to witness an hegemony, an establishment put together to mitigate against my development, my growth and my success, because I share affinity as a Nigerian, if I'm going to witness the collapse of that and the birth of a new one, then maybe that will be the part of the story I'm going to tell my children. Because somehow, even though I have no stake, I have no influence in all of this, but we can tell, with or without our influence, this is happening. Now, if the old order would die before our very eyes, and a new order is going to come to be, maybe in the new order lies the liberty and the freedom that we are all yearning for. We can't get any freedom. We can't get any independence. We can't get any liberty if the system is hunting us as terrorists when we are not. We can do so under the atmosphere of peace. And you know I'm saying this because I'm Mayegun. I will prefer it in a peaceful way. It doesn't mean that it's going to be peaceful. But what is wrong in wishing it for being peaceful? When you share the right information and the people are taking the right side in order to be on the right side of the history. This is my own part. And in this case, as obedient are traumatizing the establishment, personally, I'm wishing you success. It's not because I believe you are going to fix Nigeria, but through you, the revolution that will eventually free the rest of all those nations trapped in Nigeria may start. I'm not banking on it. But what do I have to lose? Do I have anything to lose? If the obedient pull the stunt, do you have anything to lose more than what we have lost? If the old order retain their old control? But at the end of the day, it seems that we are all going to learn a lesson. And there's something I wanted to add earlier. No matter where you and I belong to, don't believe that anybody's undecided about Nigeria today. Oh. Listen to me. There is nobody that is undecided about what's going on in Nigeria today. If anyone says they are undecided, they are lying to you. They have decided. Everybody is just waiting for the outcome of the whole thing. I am only playing my part to prepare you for the aftermath. Now, let's go back to London again. I have Eva, thank you very much for this. And I'm going to also say a big thank you as well to this, my person, Tonia. I appreciate this, and I hope that my position is not to discourage any of the young people pushing this. I know the genesis of the obedient movement. I know the genesis. I know the reach. I know everything behind it. How they finally managed to turn it into a political whatever today, and the beneficiary of all of that is obedient. Obi himself. We know the story. But as they say, if dog have to eat dog, for us to be free in a way, what is wrong in that? Let's go back to London, where Obi was answering questions. We're almost done. Oh. Remember, we are highlighting what he had to say and what he said when he's in London, just like Kolu was also in London. I will replay part of that too. Let's go back to London.
Come dredge, maintain River Nile. Nigeria is big enough to deal with this, and we'll deal with it. And I assure you, you'll see the difference. It will be clear. Other protocols of climate change will follow it. Where we find difficult, we'll negotiate and talk with other involved in that. We are signatory to it, and it's devastating the world today. So we must follow the protocol.
Thank you. The clock is ticking. We're on borrowed time now, but we are going over, as I said. So there's right at the front here, there's a gentleman there. I'm going to take 3 questions, and then I think the clock is going to have had its say. Short and sharp, please.
I'll
go ahead.
Keep it short. Hi, good afternoon. My name's Alexis Akwajiram. I'm the managing editor of Semaphore Africa. My question is, if you become the next president, would you seek to keep the current central bank governor or replace him? And please explain your answer.